Hello everybody, it's jrobichess. We're going to have another quick 5-minute Blitz game here live. I'm going to seek for 5 minutes, and we'll see what goes on. So 99 players saw it, so not surprising that it's quick. I'm going to open up with the king's pawn. And, yeah, I'll probably get into the Rye Lopez here. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, the best here is just to play d3. I'm just going to keep ideas open for my bishop here. Maybe develop my knight to d2. Maybe queen to e2. Now I'm going to kind of hold off on castling here, unless I have to. I'm not exactly sure where the attack. That's one of the things that I need to work on is my attacking in chess. So, just looking for opportunities here. I think I'm going to go a4. And then if pushed to b4, I'm going to... I'll just take there. I think that's good for me. Now, is he threatening anything? He is threatening taking on c2. But I've got my bishop protecting c2. So I'm expecting him to play bishop to c6 to try to take my bishop's scope away from there. I think I'm just going to play... I think I'm going to play c4 with my knight because I don't have to worry about this right now. Unless I'm missing something, he can't take there. So now I've got two attackers on the e5 pawn. And he's got one defender. Now this way, his bishop move is irrelevant because now my queen is protecting c2. So I'm going to go ahead and take. I should have taken the pawn. No, that's right. I need to take the bishop first. Now he needs to take back with the knight in this position. Otherwise he drops a pawn. So here he drops a pawn. Okay, now I need to decide from where I'm going to castle. This knight is kind of well placed. His knight can't come down to g4 yet. Now, do I want to take that? That's the question. I think I do. And the reason why I think I'm going to take that is because I can get my bishop onto d4. And then my bishop has an attack on g7, which could come in handy later. Another option for me is to push the pawn up, or I could move my bishop to f4. Takes. But then I just get the bishop kicked again. So you know what? The knight is nice there, but I'm going to trade it off. I'll see if I'm right about that. Okay. Now, before I start throwing all my pieces into an attack, I think I'm going to castle. And then we're going to evict this knight. Once I play rook to... How should I evict that knight? I want to do it... Okay, I'm going to do it with rook to a4. Reason being is that I can't push the pawn because then all of a sudden I've got two attackers on d3. He just takes. But now I evict the knight. Or even if I don't evict the knight in this position, I get my rooks doubled up in the a file and I can attack this pawn right away. So he's going to have some, or she's going to have some trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and double up. Now he needs another defender on a5, and I don't think he can get one. So takes, takes, takes. Will give me a rook on a5. And then it's just got to figure out where to attack. I also have the bishop to c5, skewering the knight and the rook. That's a good play, actually. I think I'll do that now. He's got to save his rook. Then I can take the knight. Takes with pawn, capture, capture. I might be able to win a rook there. So that would be a strong move in that position. The material looks pretty good here. Let's see, 3, 6, 7. Looks like I'm up a pawn. He's got doubled up pawns. This isolated pawn on the A file is a liability for him now. Like I've got too much firepower on it. Okay, so he can see that, but what he didn't see is this. Now he has to save the rook. He doesn't want to drop the knight. Now taking here, he's going to get to keep his pawn for a bit, for the short term. Would have been nicer if he would have kept his rook on a8. Then this would have been even that much stronger. So he's definitely taking his time to think about it here. So he just dropped his rook. Now is he threatening any tactics? I don't see any. Maybe knight here, it doesn't really accomplish much. So I'm just going to take, and I think his position's pretty much fallen apart now. So I'm going to take the pawn on e5 after he captures my bishop. And he's got a few options for the knight. Actually, yeah, he's got 2 options. Back to b4. c5's taken away from him. He's running out of time too, so. Okay, now I still can't weaken my square there, so I'm actually going to pin the rook to the king and start to trade down some of this material. So I'll just recapture with my rook if he takes. With check. Okay. Attack the knight. Take the knight. He's out of time. Just going to flag him so it ends the game here. Okay, so well, that was an interesting game. Let's flip back to the beginning here. So it started out pretty normal. King's pawn opening into the Rui Lopez, as I've heard some people call it. So here he goes, tries to get me to go into the exchange variation. No thank you. Pull my bishop back to b3. And I don't know, I think that move's pretty dodgy. I think that just doesn't really do much. I think better for black in this position would just be to develop knight to f6, at which point it's okay for white to castle. In fact, I could have castled right here too, but I decided to play d3. So he took my bishop scope away. I like putting my bishop on e3. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think, but to me, you know, I've got access to both sides of the board, and you know, coming out of the opening, you know, that could be handy. So I think this was a bad move. I think bishop to d6, like when I saw that, I think much better would have been maybe knight to f6, or maybe even bishop to e7, I think, for black in that position. I think even pawn to d6 would be better in that position than this bishop move. Because it's like, I mean, the pawn on e5 is blocking it and kind of restricts the position. So I just continued on with development. Now finally the knight comes out. Put my queen to e2. Not sure, just felt right at the time, like I said when I was playing. Wanted to keep my options open for castling. So he brings down his pawn. I think this exchange was very good for me. I think having the bishop there was awesome. And now he tries to get into these knight tactics here. And I think right here this is a really good move. Knight to c4, just because I'm defending the pawn on c2 now 2 times, threatening the bishop here on d6, and I'm also attacking e5. So I think in this position here it was good. And when he offered me up the bishop here, Yeah, sure. Just go ahead and take it. And I think really, his best play here would have been to capture with knight, so he missed that. It would have given him another defender on d5, but he didn't, so that let me come in and win a pawn. And then from here, I think it was a good decision to take that knight. Looking forward to your feedback on that. Castle, and now just kind of get this battery going. And it's too bad he moved his rook to b8. I really wanted to see this skewer take place the way I had planned it out, but nonetheless it didn't. And unfortunately he just dropped his rook out right here, and it was pretty much all over at that point.